there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Sim Racers Asia GTE Asia Pacific Series. We're coming to you live tonight for round 8 of VIR, and as always we have in the combox with me Daniel Leet. Welcome Daniel.
Yeah, good evening Bernie, and good evening to all the viewers out there tonight. It's a little different to be back on this side of the table again after having a run last week, but quite good to be back.
Yeah, it would be a bit different, and I guess now you can see the other side of it since you competed. Just tell the viewers exactly what you thought of last week's race before we get into looking at the points and the qualifying.
Yeah, it was good fun. There's a few incidents which I think the committee sort of has handled out some penalties for, but other than that, like, the driving all in all was pretty good fun. Goes to show you do need a lot more seat time than a week to sort of get up to speed in these cars and be competitive in a series like this as well.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of work, that's for sure, because we've got pretty much the best out of Asia running in this series, and quite a lot of the fast guys in Australia are also having a run, as we see now Martin Silvassi go into the wall. I'm having a look at this qualifying at the moment, Daniel, and it's looking a little bit messy at the moment. Looks like cars are interfering with others a little bit.
Yeah, VIR is a bit of an interesting circuit. It's there's a lot of room to sort of give people the opportunity to pass, especially on that long back straight that we've got. There are some very delicate areas, especially when you get up through the S's as you make your rise up over the top, where it's got to be single file. So the guys that are trying to get out of the way here need to sort of be alert to what's going on and just give the room so everyone can have a fair run.
Yeah, and we can see now Indika Rama Mulana here in 8th, and one of the Ford GTEs trying to get through. Wei Han Chan can't be with us tonight. Unfortunately, he's having a bit of a break, and then he's off to China very shortly. But one thing he did mention through the week, Daniel, and that is that a Ford GTE has not won a round of this series as yet.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising. I know when both the Ford and the Ferrari came out, the Ford was definitely the preferred car, but there was a bit of an issue with iRacing where it didn't like the curbs and you got a lot of body damage from it. So it's kind of a bit not surprising that the likes of the Ferrari are up there, but the Ford is still a quick car. It feels a lot different to what the Ferrari is, and the guys who can make it work do seem to get a lot out of it. And just looking through the timing sheet just at the moment, the quickest guy in the Ford is actually Kevin Huang, who's currently sitting in 4th on a 1:42.4. But just to put it into perspective, Anthony Winkleman, who we see all the time here driving Ferraris, is done a 1:41.7. So there is a fair gap between those two. A lot of it, yes, is driver style, but the Ferrari just has a little bit more pace than what that Ford does right now.
Yes, a little bit more balancing going through from iRacing probably in the next update. But the other thing we should mention is we've got 3 more rounds of this series to go, and if we have a look at the GTE Drivers' Championship, Ilham Halabi is actually leading it, 516 points, so he's got quite a margin over Kevin Huang in 2nd. And then we've got the first of I think it's one of the Aussies, Brock Craig, sitting in 3rd on 431 points. 4th, David Lord, 416 points. And then Martin Silvassi in 5th there on 402 points. So it's quite interesting. Ilham is the favourite at the moment, and the other guys are going to have to pick up their game tonight if they want a chance at that Caterham.
Yeah, definitely. But the one thing you haven't mentioned there is we've still got 1 drop round in this series. So at the moment, Kevin Huang's looking really good. He's going to only lose 1 point effectively if we take away his results from the first round. Ilhan potentially could lose 39 points where he is now, which will drop him back a little more, but that will still give him about a 20-point lead over Kevin at the moment.
Okay, and it looks like Martin Silvassi down there in 5th's already had his drop round because he's missing 1 result from round 2. So he will have to hope for a couple of good finishes here to try and propel him up that leaderboard.
Yeah, definitely. But we've seen for this series, for as long as I can remember watching it and driving in it, consistency is key. You don't have to go out and win every event to take a championship in it. And just look at the results here from Ilhan. He's finished every race he started in so far and scored decent points. Obviously, with the exception of the first round, but the point haul that he's got so far has been from 70 points up for the remaining rounds that he's competed so far.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see how Ilham goes tonight. He's definitely looking like the favourite going into tonight's race. Now, tonight's race is going to be a bit different, folks. It is a reverse grid race tonight. So at 10 o'clock tonight, the first race will start, and that is I think it's a 25-minute sprint race. And then what will happen is the guys will exit the server. We'll go to another server for race 2. The reverse grid will be the top 10 as they finished in race 1, and then everyone that finishes after that will start where they finish from race 1, and that's a 20-minute sprint race, Daniel. So we've got to love these reverse grids. They're always a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does make it hard for the quick guys at the front. Obviously, the likes of Anthony Winkelman, Ilhan Halabi are up 1 and 2 so far with qualifying, but if they continue that, finish first and second, well, they're starting back in 9th and 10th respectively in the second race with the reverse grid. So it does spice it up a little more, but we know VIR first corner here, even though it's very wide with 30 cars going into it, does lead to a lot of incidents sometimes, and we may see some of these quick guys actually get shuffled down from issues from other drivers that might put them further down this order, which could shake things up quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it certainly could. And we had the skippies here last Monday night. They were running VIR North, not the long circuit, but it was quite interesting. They had to really set up trying to make that pass out of the final corner, getting the drag into turn 1. If they didn't really make it there, they had one potential there, probably on turn 3 to get the inside, but after that there was no more passing. So of course we're in the long version, and of course they're going to come over that hill down the back, so they'll have a bit of a passing opportunity down towards, I think it's the One Oak Tree or whatever they call it, as well as this huge long back straight.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the probably the key overtaking spots where the guys are going to want to get the job done tonight will be definitely coming down the hill, heading into Oak Tree. If you can get on the inside through there, you've got a really good chance of being able to take that spot. As you mentioned, the back straight coming through the carousel, if you can get to the inside, does make it pretty hard for the guy you're passing to get back around you for the right-hander. So that's another good spot. Turn 1 is excellent passing opportunities as well. Those are probably the three best spots. The spots, as we mentioned already, where they're going to have to be careful is going through turns 2, 3, 4. Those are pretty well single file. You can maybe make a pass there if you're brave enough, but generally single file, and up through the S's before they make the run down towards Oak Tree. That's all single file through that area as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. But once that dip, though, I guess they could start looking at setting up coming into Oak Tree there. But I tell you what, it's mighty tight around Oak Tree, isn't it? And then, of course, they've got to get that excellent run out of Oak Tree to take advantage of this big long straight.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've mentioned it quite a few races now. These cars don't have the ABS system on board, so as you're coming downhill, you're managing the brakes, you're managing your pass. A lot of guys will probably take the wing off and look maybe to get a good exit from Oak Tree, get up behind the guy they're trying to pass, and just blast him down past the straight, which I think is probably going to be the preferred method. Yeah,
I'd say so. And we're just riding with Kevin Huang there, and he's aborted that lap. It was a little bit slow. He's decided he'll bring that into the pits. So at the moment, folks, your top 5 are Anthony Winkelman in provisional pole here, 141.703. We've got Ilham Halabi, he's in the pits as well with a 142.145. Mike Burdett, we'll see where Mike is, he's also in the pits, 142.476. Kevin Huang, well, he's out of the car in the pits as well. And rounding out your top 5 is Ross Rizzo, and he's also in the pits. So the only other one running, well, no, they're all... Where are they? Jazreen's in the pits, Niranjan. Niranjan's having a bit of a run. But most of the top 6 there are not out on the track at the moment.
Yeah, I'd be thinking now that we're sort of coming into that last 30 seconds of the qualifying session, a lot of guys will take the cars in, get on the race setups that they're going to need, work out the fuel loading they're going to need to run this one, and start putting the race face on and get ready now.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't realise how much time we had left of qualifying, but that's exactly what they're going to do here. I can see Niranjan, he is on a flyer, so we'll stick with him. see if he can improve, if he's got enough time to do it. He should have, running wide there, coming into Oak Tree now. And I tell you what, VIR, it is such a tricky track to master.
It is, and braking is probably the key. We saw Nurj in there as he got in towards Oak Tree, did take a lot of curb, which sort of unsettled that car, but a lot of the braking in the hard spots is all off camber, and you're going into a corner which you've got to manage the braking power that you want to go in, lock a brake, and it's very easy in these cars to snatch a brake.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, does it? We're on the nose cam here now. He's upset his exit there, and he's aborted that. So that'll be the end of qualifying there, Daniel, and we'll be getting ready for racing very soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think the two-race format that they do is different to what we saw last season, where they still ran a reverse grid, but it was for the entire 45-minute race. So this breaks it up for the guys, maybe makes it a little more exciting, and yeah, I think the racing will be very good. Hopefully no big issues, but everyone's going to look forward to sort of getting up in towards that top 10 for the best spot forward for the reverse grid.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a bit different to last time here, Daniel. Last time they reversed the whole grid. This time, after the SRA Advisory Council had to think about it, they thought it was better to do the top 10 reverse, which I think that's a better way to go. Although it was extremely exciting watching the winner of the second race. He pretty much come from last to first, but it was still a full-on race for them. And tonight should be a little bit more sensible, I think.
Yeah, definitely, but it makes it interesting for all the guys that are in the top quick guys that have to do the reverse grid. Now they've got to start thinking about, they don't have the clear run in front of them going through turn one. They've got to worry about these extra cars, and every pass that they make is going to be very critical now.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other thing with it is, do you go for strategy? I know years ago when I raced karts and they had a reverse grid, they'd reverse the top 10, and you're always looking for that sweet spot. Do you go for the win and start out at 10th, or if you're less confident, do you try to go for consistency and finish around about 4th or 5th, so you get more consistent points? So no doubt they'll be thinking about that tonight.
Well, definitely. I think points for this series are going to be critical. You can't take it away from race. Everyone wants to go out and win a race. So I would be looking for the win. Take your chance with the reverse grid. And, I mean, if you do finish first, you're starting in 10th. You've got plenty of potential to get back up and take the round win in race 2 as well. And
we'll see how they go with that. And see if what you say they will do or not. But we've got a whole lap here by the looks of it under safety car, because of course this is the old VIR, or an older circuit, which gives it away, because the safety car does one complete lap, where the new tracks, they normally do half a lap to a quarter of a lap in the case of Circuit Villeneuve.
Yeah, so way iRacing used to work, like you mentioned, a lot of full lap races, and especially on a track like this, for the pre-grid does take quite a long time, and that's good for us. Gives us a chance to go through and have a bit of a look at what's happening, where everyone's sort of stacked up. But a little bit concerned now. I've just noticed a whole heap of guys have actually disconnected prior to the start of this race, so a little concerned maybe that some of these guys aren't actually going to get back in time.
Yeah, they might be a little bit confused, because normally what they do is they finish their qualifying, they all exit the server, the new servers are created, and then they all get back into the race. Now, if they're not clear on that, they're probably out there waiting for the new server to kick in, and they will miss the start of this race.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully we haven't seen any of the top guys, I don't believe, are actually outside. I think Nurjan Kumar's actually dropped off, and he was actually sitting in 8th spot, so it looks to be about the first of our quick guys was in 8th that's sort of exited for some reason, but most of the rest of the guys here look to be inside still. Yeah,
so hopefully they will get back in. If they do, though, at this point in time, they'll probably be starting from the pits, but that's probably the best case scenario for them at this point, or they'll be going down a lap. So let's have a look at the weather at the moment under the race information banner. Of course, we're coming from Alton, USA for Virginia International Raceway here. Total length of the track 5.22 kilometres or 3.24 miles, depending from where you're from. Mostly cloudy out there today, 34 degrees Celsius or 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not too hot out there today.
No, it's actually pretty good racing conditions. The guys are going to be really happy with this. The tyres will hold in a lot better. So I think the speeds generally for the lap times of this car too will be quite a lot higher than we would have expected with a 40-minute race, and especially what we saw last week at Interlagos, where it was very hot and the tyres went away after about 5 laps.
Yeah, so the tyres should definitely hold on for this sprint race anyway, and no doubt the guys have pretty much fueled this car to go to the end and take the least amount of fuel possible. But let's have a look at the grid, folks, and see where your favourite driver will be starting. Now, Anthony Winkleman will start from pole position tonight. He's set a time of 1:41.703. Ilham Halabi, he's starting out of second, with Mike Burdett in third. Kevin Huang, he'll start beside him in fourth. Fifth is Ross Rizzo, followed by Ndika Ramamulana, starting out of sixth. Out of seventh, we have Jazreen Jali. Out of eighth is Niranjan Kumar. Then we have Abirafadi Rajichaputra. We'll call him Abby, as what Wehan said, so he's starting out of ninth. Martin Silvassi, he'll start out of 10th tonight, with Chandra starting out of 11th. Rounding out your top 12 is Lachlan Crowe.
And in 13th tonight we've got Michael Hammond, followed by Mark Simon in 14th. Federico Duarte is in 15th. Simon Jorge Sanchez is starting out of 16th tonight. Tafiq Mohoyan is in 17th. Kim Kyung Ao is in 18th tonight, followed by Alex Pohl in 19th. Johnson W. Yong is starting out at 20th, followed by Indro Ferriento in 21st. Cash Choi will be starting from 22nd tonight, followed by Matt Clowett out of 23rd. Hugo Silva Jr. will be our last car on the grid in 24th, as Mark Lang's actually had to pull out of this one due to some shrapnel in the foot. So hope you get well soon, Mark. We'll look to see you on track, and the racing will be ready to go as these guys get around through the back half of this circuit now.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be racing here very shortly, folks, and just getting ready for this, of course. And I guess we're going to have to keep an eye on, of course, Anthony's going to have the inside run here, but keep an eye on Ilham. He is the favourite of this series so far. He is leading on points, bar a drop round, so he's going to want to clear Andrew here and try to maximise his points haul in race 1 here. But of course, Andrew, he's pretty hungry for another win, and he has pretty much shown his mettle, hasn't he? Apart from Circuit Villeneuve, he has been streaking away from these guys.
Yeah, certainly has. He's been very quick in this car, whether it's in this series or on the official iRacing stuff. So he's really found a setup that works for him quite comfortably now. It will be up to the guys behind, though, to make the most of it. Hopefully, if they can read the start better, we might see a bit of a jump as these guys are coming through the final corner now.
Yeah, we can see from the blimp cam there, the size of the field a lot smaller than it was at round 1. We had well over 60 cars in this, but as the series has gone down, dwindled down to around about 24, you can see now Cash Choi has rejoined the server, starting from 25th. But here we go, 20-minute timed race here at VIR. We're underway for round 8. It looks like a nice clean start there for Anthony Winkleman, but look behind them, Ilham Halabi looks like he's been caught napping.
Yeah, great start from Anthony. A lot of guys back here, 2-3 wide. I'm just seeing a few cars at the very back have collided, but no, Anthony's done a fantastic job to get away to lead this race.
Yeah, so Ross Rizzo, he's had an awesome start. So at the moment, folks, you've got Anthony Winkleman leading, Ross Rizzo sitting in second, looking at wanting to make a move. Mike Burdett sitting third. Kevin Huang, he's up to fourth. Ndika Ramamulana fifth. And I cannot see Ilham Halabi. He's all the way down here in 19th position.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to Ilham. I didn't actually see him making the grid on the start, so may have missed it while there was a bit of talk going as to which server to go, and that's definitely going to upset him for the rest of this race.
Yeah, I'd say it's upset a few of the guys here. The people that did not make the grid is, we could see Ilham out there now trying to catch up. Mark Simon didn't make it. Michael Hammond, of course, Mark Lane didn't start the race. He's out with injury. Niranjan Kumar, Tafik Moyen, Hugo Silva Jr. So we've only got 18 guys out of the 24 that stayed in the server, and they're capitalising on it.
Yeah, I'm just seeing there's a big spin just at the back as the guys are starting to work their way through the carousel, and that's got Kevin Huang involved in it. Yazrin Jali is involved. There was about 3 or 4 cars that were all caught up in that, and it's very easy to in that section where the guys are trying to make a move at the one of the fastest points on this circuit.
Yeah, and that all started with, of course, Kevin Huang here, as we'll go back to the replay. Got it all a bit loose under brakes, and around she went, as we'll see now. Well, actually, he had a bit of a helping hand by the number 8, who gave him a bit of a Morse code tap there under brakes, which turned him around, and yeah, took a few guys out there, but good driving by most of them. Bit of contact there on the Ferrari, the 13. He got rear-ended, and he went around as well.
Yeah, well, car 8 was Ndika Milana, so he's been involved in that one. Car 13, as you mentioned, that was Yadrin Jali, and we saw him sitting on the side of the road waiting for the rest of the field to clear in that one, and Kevin Huang has dropped a long way back from his starting position in 4th tonight.
Yeah, it's a bit of a messy start, but at the moment Anthony Winkleman, he's starting to stretch his gap. It's 0.6 of a second last time by. Don't worry about the people there, folks, and we'll get different camera reviews shortly. Ross Rizzo, he's undergoing this chase now, and they're starting to drop Mike Burdett. Indiko Rama Mulana, though, 5.6 seconds down and well off, and no doubt that's because of the contact last lap through.
Yeah, definitely. The minute you have a spin, it backs the entire field up, and we're starting to see that here now. But Anthony's done a great job, managed to keep the gap, and is looking now at extending as this race goes on from Ross Rizzo, who in turn is putting on some decent pace ahead of Mike Burdett here in 3rd.
Yeah, Ross is looking really racy tonight, isn't he? And we'll jump up to have a look at Ross here, and in his beautiful livery. I think that's a Kiani American style livery there, and I tell you what, it looks beautiful.
It's a great looking car. I think we saw this livery debut back in at Montreal, where he was actually our guest hot lap driver, and that was a great looking car for that one. But a lot of the guys here, they're putting in the time and effort in to get these cars looking quite presentable for everyone who's at home viewing.
Yeah, exactly right, and it just makes the event, doesn't it? All this effort, and of course they're racing for a massive prize. Thanks to Caterham Motorsports, the winner of this series, they get a drive day in a Caterham, and I tell you what, I'd love to win a drive day in a Caterham.
Yeah, it's a fantastic prize, and I believe they're actually opened this one up to both the winner of the Pro and the Clubman Series. So for the guys who remember right at the beginning, currently points leader for the Pro-Am Series is Ilhan Halabi, who's quite a way down the order at the moment, and leader currently for the Clubman Series is Brock Craig, and I don't believe Brock's actually having a run here tonight.
No, he's not, and I think he was involved in a big incident at Interlagos. We saw him get turned over on the start, so he might still be licking his wounds after that event.
Yeah, quite possibly, but just going back for a few little battles here, there's a good little one starting to shape up here with Martin Silvasi and Abida Putra in 5th and 6th. Those two guys are doing very good lap times here at the moment, but the gap is starting to come down. There's about a half a second between these two at the moment, and I think just by looking at this, is one of the closest battles that we currently got on the track.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, these GTEs, because the guys do seem to spread out quite a bit. I don't know if it's the style of the car, but there's not so much door handle to door handle racing, more like they get in the draft and they make a move, and there they go. But have you got any idea, since you raced last week, Daniel, what that would be that stops that door handle to door handle action?
No, not really. I think it's a lot of it's probably to do with setup. The cars are very aero sensitive, a lot more so than you see with the GT 3 cars. So the guys are probably wanting to protect those edges of the car a little more. But I think a lot of it's going to come down to where they go now with wing placement. Gearing is very critical. So if you can't get the downforce through the corners, obviously these gaps are going to start extending.
Yeah, and we can see now under brakes here, Martin closes right up under Oak Tree there. And of course, Martin, he's up 4 positions from where he started and currently sitting in 6th.
Yeah, Martin's been doing a great job the last few rounds, very consistent in his approach. The speed that he's shown has come up leaps and bounds over last season, where I raced against him quite heavily in the Clubman Series for the GT3. But no, he's doing a fantastic job and really starting to take it to these guys up in front.
It certainly is. We can see him closing up now. We've got Chandra also closing up. Now, I guess the story of the night as far as Ilham Halabi goes, he wants to get, if he can finish in 10th tonight, it's not going to be all lost, because with reverse grid he'll start again from pole in the second race, so no doubt that will be his target. He's currently sitting in 15th position, so as this race unfolds, 12 minutes to go, we'll see if he can actually move his way through the field.
Yeah, I think we're actually going to see him move up a spot here to 13th as he closes up on the back of Cash Choi just in front of him. So look for that pass to go through. Actually, sorry, that's Jorge Sanchez in front of him. I'd say that pass will go through pretty cleanly soon. And there is another Ferrari. Who was that? I believe that was Cash Choi just in front of these guys. So Cash is having a little bit of trouble there through turn 1 as well.
Yeah, and then ahead of him they've got Indra Furianto, so he can see 3 cars in his sights, and it's just a matter of being patient and making these moves cleanly and not have any unfortunate incidents, as we see him now coming in to make a move.
Yeah, he's got a nice little run there. It's going to be a tight spot because he's got the entrance for the first part of this S, but he's done very well to get past Simon Jorge there. I think gave him probably the easy benefit and let him through.
Yeah, it was a battle of nerves, wasn't it? And you can see now he's pushing up towards Cash Choi here and trying to move up another position. So he's up to 13th position now. So the chances are he will get in the top 10 by the end of it. And one of the viewers out there, they're cheering on Mr. Ross Rizzo here. Good news, folks, for the fans of Mr. Rizzo. He is up 3 positions, sitting in 2nd, but he's got a bit of work to do. 3.2 seconds is the gap from him back to up to Anthony Winkleman. Yeah,
that gap has really started extending these last few laps. Anthony seems to really have the car pace under him at the moment. Just looking at his times last time by, they were about 4/10 different over the lap. So Anthony put through a 1:42.9, Ross did a 1:43.3. So there is a fair bit of a gap there, and obviously now we're starting to see that time extend. And I'm just watching, who's that? Cash Choi getting up on Indra Furianto there. So that was a good little move. Cash is starting to come back now.
Yeah, so he makes that move up into 11th from 12th, and you can see just behind him now Ilham's starting to close in on them. Nice battle pack here of 3. It'll be interesting to see if Cash can actually get a bit of a gap going here, which I think he's going to need, because Ilham is on a bit of a mission.
Yeah, definitely. But Indra Furianto is not going to probably want to let him through here. He's very defensive as far as his driving style is concerned. He will make it extremely hard here for Ilhan to make it past and gain those spots as he needs for the reverse grid.
Yeah, definitely. We can see now Ilham Alabi's having a look on the outside there. He'll get a run out of here and probably make a move.
Yeah, great driving from Indra Furianto though. He's placing that car exactly where he needs to. He's up on the inside here as the guys make their way down the back straight, but you can just see the pace of that Ford under Ilhan. He's really starting to make a move now, and he'll be very competitive under brakes here at the end of this straight. Yeah,
and he's right up beside him now, and have a look, and he makes that move stick very easily there, and he's now up into 13th position.
Yeah, that was a great little pass there. Actually, I think that'll move him up into 12th, I believe. But now he'll turn his eyes forward and he'll start chasing down Cash Choi. And I think Cash is starting to get a handle on this car. It looked a little unsettled these first couple of laps. He did run wide through turn 1, but obviously we saw last time by he got a great pass on Indro Ferianto there, and I think now he's just starting to get in that rhythm.
Yeah, so he's now starting to make that close up, and we'll see how he goes from here.
Yeah, definitely. Another little battle that's looking quite good just in front here is Federico Duarte and Lachlan Crowe. This is for 7th and 8th at the moment, and Lachlan's really breathing on the back of that Ferrari in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. If you can just do this, I've just got to clean up our chat channel because we have a young man in here that needs to be kicked out, and he should now be gone.
No worries. Well,
yep,
Lachlan's having a really good look here. He makes his way up through the oak tree at the moment. He's still about a half a second back on Federico just in front, but should be settling in nice for a good little draft up this straight. Another little battle that may be looking to form up a little sooner as well will be Martin Silvassi and Chandra Yong, which is for 5th and 6th. Martin, I believe, has actually just made that move, so there's half a second there between those two, and then Martin's got about 3 seconds to make up if he wants to get back up on the back here of Enrica Ramamolana as well.
Okay, get back into it. Yeah, he does. He does have a bit of a gap there, doesn't he, to make up. But looking at your top 10 at the moment, folks, Anthony Winkleman out 5.2 seconds over Ross Rizzo in 2nd. Mike Burdett, he's sitting in 3rd, 0.6 of a second down from Ross. Endika Ramamolana 4th. Martin Silvassi 5th. Chandra Wiuda Yong in 6th. 7th, Federico. Then we have Lachlan Crowe in 8th, 9th, Kin Kyong Ao, and rounding out your top 10 is Cash Choi.
Yeah, I've just gone back onto this battle with Martin Silvassi and Chandra Yong. It's a good little scrap that's starting to form up here. There's a touch, I think Chandra may have had a little off because that gap's just opened up to just under a second now. But these two have been going pretty good for the last few laps as well.
Yeah, they're definitely having quite a good little battle going on here. Probably about 4 car lengths apart, but as we were saying, these cars, they generally close in very quickly and make the move, and then they pull that gap out. Now, the fans of Ilham Halabi here, he's in 11th. He's on the back of Cash Choi here, and I reckon after Oak Tree we might see another move.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll see him on the back straight. He'll get a really nice draft from the exit of this turn, and this should be a pretty easy pass as they make their way up to the top of the roller coaster, similar to what we saw with Indro Ferianto a couple of laps prior.
Yeah, and as they come onto the back straight here, Cash got a very good exit out of Oak Tree. He knew this is where Ilham was going to make the move. Ilham's closing up now under brakes, but I don't think he's going to do it, and he's going to have to wait to get down onto the front straight.
Yeah, and now they're in really single line territory here. You can't go too wide through much of this section of the track, but if Cash is not too careful, we see him get a little bit squirrely as they make their way on the front straight, and that's all he's needed to actually let Ilham back up in the draft again.
You can see him now side by side. Ilham's closing up on Cash. Is he going to make a move? Cash goes defensive on the inside here. What's Ilham going to do? He's not going to get suckered into that, and he tucks back in and starts to work the blowtorch once again. Yeah,
good positioning from Ilhan here. He's managing to get a nice bit of drive out, which is making it easy for him to attack on the back of Cash there, but it takes nothing away from Cash Joy at the moment. He's doing a good job in placing that car and making it as difficult as possible for Ilhan Halabi to get past.
Yeah, he's definitely making it difficult, isn't he? And that's what he wants to do, because Ilham, he's hungry for this position. And for the folks just joining us, the reason is if he can get this position, he will start out of pole position in the second race and not out of 11th, because the top 10 is a reverse grid.
Yeah, definitely. And another battle we may want to jump back up the top. We saw it in the chat earlier, the bit of support here for Ross Rizzo. He's coming under a lot of pressure here from Mike Burdett. There's less than half a second between these two guys for second and third, and Mike's in a really good spot. He's just ranching up slowly on the back of the draft, but it's going to start putting a lot of pressure on Ross on where he wants to start beginning to place this car.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a quick look at that shortly as we go up the back straight one more time. 4 minutes going. Again, Cash holds out Ilham. Cash Choi, he's excellent out of Oak Tree there, and Ilham just cannot close in to make that move. But as you were saying, Mike Burdett now all over the back of Ross Rizzo, and Mike's looking really good tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Mike's got a car under him that seems to be pretty favourable in the longer run. Ross was able to make that gap right at the beginning of the race, and that sort of hovered around a second and a half, but now that we're getting on a bit more, those tyres maybe are falling off that little bit more in the Ford compared to the Ferrari, and Mike's able to get up a little bit closer.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying earlier, weren't we? The Fords do suffer compared to the Ferraris in their good race results overall.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of interesting watching where Ross is actually placing this car. He's taking a lot of curb compared to Mike. Mike's running a very shallow line, just sort of getting to the start of the curbing, but staying on that white line where Ross is right up on top of it. So maybe able to keep a little bit of pace, and Mike's got a really good draft here as these guys make their way into the carousel.
Yeah, and Ross puts a nose in front, cuts him off there and says, "You're not going through here, mate," and holds him off. But I tell you what, how long can he handle this pressure from Mike Burdett? Getting back to Ilham Halabi here, he's made the move on Cash Choi, and he's moved up to 10th. So mission completed as far as he's concerned, and he should start around about the first row, depending on how many more positions he makes. But of course, you know, being a racing driver, he's going to be after every single point he can get, and I'm sure he just won't settle for 10th.
No, not at all. He's actually come up pretty quick on the back of King Kong Ao, just in front of him in that green Ford there. So that's potentially another spot which may see him starting out of P2. I don't think he's got the pace to get up to Lachlan Crowe up in 8th at the moment, though.
No, I think, as you were saying, he'll definitely get King Kong Ao here, but you're dead right, Daniel. I don't think he's going to get Lachlan. Now here comes Ilham looking on the inside. You can see how cautious he is. He doesn't want to risk those points, which is understandable. I think Kyung Ao expected him to go through there. They sort of both balked, didn't they? Looked at each other.
Yeah, it looked like King Kong Ao actually locked the brakes a little bit, and he is carrying a little bit of damage on that rear wing, which isn't going to help him, but in doing so, with him locking the brakes, obviously set the car wide, has allowed Ilham to get up a little bit closer there.
You can see now, looking out of the bumper can of King Kong Ao, we can see Ilham now closing up, just sitting in there. No doubt he's going to make his move onto the back straight as they go over the top, down the dip towards Oak Tree, closing right up now.
Yeah, that will be a really good pass. I've just stuck back up to see how Ross is going up here, and there was a little bit of contact at the end of the carousel, the straight onto the carousel, where Ross has locked it up and actually got a little bit of a tap in the rear end from Mike Burdett, so that position has changed for second and third at the moment as well.
Yeah, so Ross down to third, Mike up to second. Now we see Ilham having a run on King Kong Ao. It's going to get messy here. He tucks back in under brakes, and he just didn't want to risk that move.
No, but he's got to be careful because he's got Abhijit Putra right up behind him as well. So if he can't make this move, he's definitely a chance of being attacked pretty heavily by Putra just behind him.
Yeah, so running the fine line here between, here he goes now on the inside. He should make this move stick under brakes. He knows King Kong Ao, he balked this time through last lap. Under brakes now, he should make that move. Or does he? King Kong Ao, he's not going to lay down. Oh, a bit of touch there. Side by side action. This is going to allow Abhijit to also, or Abby, to also pounce here.
Yeah, well, but it's a good move from Indra just to get past there. He did pretty well. Obviously, a little bit of contact probably helped him with that move, but now he's going to set his sights, try to make a bit more of a gap between these guys and start working on Lachlan, who's fair way up ahead, like you said, about 5 seconds up the road on him.
Yeah, we're down to the last lap here, folks, of race 1 of VIR. As we see now, Abby and Kin Kyong Ao going for it, but we're going to jump up to our leader very shortly as he's going to come through. Where is he now? Coming down onto the main straight to take out race 1. Goes to Anthony Winkleman. Fantastic drive for him, and started from pole, pretty much ended on pole. Mike Burdett, he's going to take out second over Ross Rizzo, who's going to have to settle for third tonight. Then we have Indika Ramamulana, Daniel, coming home in fourth.
Yeah, great drive from Andika in fourth. Martin Silvasi is just starting to come across the line here in fifth, so great result from him. Chandra Yong comes home in sixth tonight. Federico Dewadi, failing any issues, should come home quite comfortably in seventh. And Lachlan Crowe will come home in eighth tonight.
Yeah, see now Lachlan going across the line, followed by Ilham Halabi. He's got up to 10th, but what's happening with Kin Kyong Ao? He's just holding out Abby here, and he will keep 9th position with where's Abby coming home in 10th, I think it is.
Yeah, so Abhinav Putra has come home actually in 11th, I believe. Kin Kyong Ao will actually go in to start race 2 off the pole, followed by Ilhan Halabi when these guys reset.
Yeah, well, exactly right, because the top 10 will be reverse grid, so your grid should be Kin Kyong Ao on the first one with Ilham Halabi. Then we'll have Lachlan Crowe, Frederico out of the second row, Chandra and Martin third row. Fourth row should be Indika and Ross Rizzo, and the last fifth row should be Anthony Winkleman and Mike Burdett.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting. Anthony's going to have a lot of work for him to do. We saw him, get a pretty comfortable 10-second lead to take out this race. Obviously, it's going to be a lot harder now. He's going to have to work his way back through this traffic in front.
Yeah, and we'll be resetting very shortly here, folks, for the next race. But before we do, of course, let's go through and have a look at our race results. So Anthony Winkleman leads from start to finish here, coming home in first. Mike Burdett jumps up one position and finishes in second. Ross Rizzo third, and Indika Ramamulana comes home in fourth, the first of the Asian drivers, or from the Asian club I should say. Martin Silvasi home in fifth. Chandra home in sixth position, followed by Frederico in seventh. Lachlan Crowe comes home in eighth. Ilham Halabi, great storming drive there, coming home in ninth. Then we have Kin Kyong Ao 10th, 11th was Abby, and then rounding out your top 12 was Cash Choi.
Finishing in 13th was Indra Ferrienta, 14th was Yazrin Yali, 15th was Kevin Huang, 16th tonight was Simone Jorge Sanchez, 17th was Johnson Yong, and the guys who we saw come in very late were Tafik Mahoya, who finished 1 lap down. Alex Pohl has finished 4 laps down. Matt Clowett was down 7 laps in 20th, and Hugo Silva Jr. was our last officially counted driver in 21st, 12 laps down.
Yeah, so quite a shuffle there, and one thing on paper, you'd say Ilham lost positions, but considering he left the server and had to come back in, it was a good storming drive back.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, he still finished on the lead lap. Obviously, it's probably a lot further back than he would have enjoyed, obviously 40 seconds off the lead, but to have come back so late, potentially missed the start of the race and could have gone down a lap. He's had a great drive to get himself back up inside that top 10.
Oh, it was a fantastic drive, wasn't it? And we'll see what he can do now, because he'll be starting from second on the grid. So I'd say he'll be looking at trying to back that up with a win.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no better way to start than where he is. Obviously, he should have been up second spot for this race, which would have given him a really good fight with Anthony and Mike. But no, look, he'll regroup and get ready to go for the next server.
Yeah, definitely, and we're just waiting for that server to come up, folks, and then we'll cut straight across to it. But while we're waiting, I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us tonight, whether you're on iRacing Live or watching through our YouTube channel. We hope you are enjoying tonight's coverage of the Sim Racers Asia GTE Asia Pacific Series and Round 8. So if you like action, I think the next one, Daniel, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. And all reverse grid races are fun, especially when they're shortened down in this sort of format. Obviously, the long races, we all get a pretty decent chance to sort of work our way back up, and we've got time on our side to do it. But in this style of a format where it is so compressed, it makes those passes a lot more critical to get them cleanly, and then keep moving forward to take further ones.
Yeah, it certainly does. And while you're talking, I'm trying to find the next server when it comes up. But if it sounds like I'm not listening to you, Daniel, I am, but maybe I'm not.
No, that's all right, mate. I'm just waiting here just to see when the next server goes up. And we had a bit of interesting news, actually. I don't know whether you saw it last night on the iRacing channel. The Ferrari GTE car, or GT3 car, is actually slated to be released next month, which I'm sure a lot of guys are going to be really interested to get on board with that car.
So that's a Ferrari GT3, you said, was it?
Yep. So a lot of the guys, I'm sure, that are running now in the GTLM will find it very easy transitioning over to that one if and when it does come out next month.
Fantastic. That's going to be absolutely awesome for the GT3s, because it's interesting, the GT3s haven't, well, everyone loves the GT3s, but since the GTEs have come on, I think people have gravitated towards that a bit, so it'll be good to see yet another GT3 come in. The question then comes in for iRacing: do they extend the amount of cars you can have of different types in a race? I think it's set at 5 at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I'm sure a lot of guys, probably another question they're going to ask, not only do they get more cars on track, but when do they get the Porsche GT3?
Yeah, well, that is a good question, isn't it? And that will be something that a lot of guys would want, because, of course, we don't have the rough, do we?
No, well, the rough got sidetracked to now being a safety car. I think that was a couple of seasons ago when they did release the Porsche in the One Make series, which is a fantastic car. For any of the guys who haven't driven it yet, get on board with it, have a run. It's a very driver-orientated car, easy to drive, and really makes some great racing.
Yeah, it certainly does. And of course, you're talking about the Cup car there, which is a ton of fun to drive. And yeah, I'm quite a fan of that one.
Yeah, no, look, it's a great feeder series. Doesn't matter whether it's a real life feeder series. The guys who drive that do a great job, and we've seen a lot of them now go on to bigger and better things. But for anyone wanting to sort of get into a tin top, learn the fundamentals of not having to set anything up, I mean, you can't go far past those cars.
Oh, exactly right. And if you're looking at stepping into the V8 supercars, a lot of the guys will tell you that it's a very good stepping stone between the Porsche Cup car and the V8 supercar. But it looks like our server's up, Daniel. So what we're going to do, folks, we're going to cut back to our intro video while we cross over to the new server. And this might be a good time for you all to go and get a beer, coffee, tea, water, whatever your favourite beverage is, and we'll see you back here at VIR in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, let's try that again. I had my mic muted. So welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, and race 2 we're here. You can see the guys are just out there warming up at the moment. We're coming to you from VIR, and as I was saying when my mic was muted, Daniel, the sun's come out. It's a scorcher, 42 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, definitely a lot hotter track than what we saw for the first race. So the guys are going to have to play around with those tyre pressures and look at where they're going to be able to make some extra speed and grip.
Yeah, definitely. And I was wondering why you're so quiet. It's because my mic was on mute. It was a great intro, probably the best I've ever done.
Well, that's all right, no worries. While we were waiting for that server to come up, I was having a quick chat with Anthony Winkleman, who we saw finish first. He was actually mentioning had a lot of issues with his system in that one, so felt kind of lucky that he was able to get through. But he was getting a lot of issues with gear downshifting not happening and a lot of stuttering issues in the system. So hopefully things are looking up. I know he's having a bit of issues with that SSD on that computer, so hopefully he should be right to go for this next 25-minute race.
Yeah, he's not out there on circuit at the moment, so let's hope. But I tell you what, leading, he must have been on tenterhooks wondering what was going on. I guess that's the equivalent of, listening to every nut and bolt and wondering if a fuse or something's going to drop off your car with a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, definitely. And look, he did a great job, held steady, and took that win, obviously 10 seconds, so not too bad, but he would have been very cautious. Every downshift he had to make, or every little stutter that he had, would have definitely been playing on the nerves. It
certainly would have been, and we can see at the moment Ross Rizzo's out there as far as times go, second fastest, but because the grid has pretty much been set, the guys will really just be using this to, as you said, looking at tyre temps and getting this balance set up, because it's jumped a good, what would it have been, at probably 10 degrees since the last race, and that would make quite a big effect, wouldn't it, to the handling of these cars.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got the suspension set up sorted on this car, you may be alright. You might be able just to take the tyre pressures down a couple of clicks and be pretty safe. If you were fighting the car in the last race, which hopefully a lot of guys weren't because it was pretty gripped up circuit, you might have to take big swings and maybe do a suspension change, maybe soften the rear a little more, or maybe take a touch out of the front, change that wing setting just a bit to give you a bit more balance back.
Yeah, so that's exactly what they'd be doing at the moment, and I'm having a look at our telemetry. Anthony is in the server but not in the car. It looks like we've got 20 drivers returning from the last race. Of course, we did lose a number who exited the server and didn't manage to come back in, and a bit of a miscommunication possibly there, or a misunderstanding on the team's part possibly, which caused that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, hopefully the guys have been able to get back in, but if not, we will see a shortened field for this one.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got about 19 to 20 will be starting, which is roughly where we had last time. And if you're wondering, folks, how that can happen, well, the guys are used to qualifying and then exiting the server, then coming back into a race server. But with these split races, they qualified and stayed in the server, and some misunderstood that, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. But watching the times some of these guys are put in for the practice session now, we're looking at about a 3 to 4 second difference in lap time from what we saw last race with the cooler temperatures to now.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who has adjusted their car accordingly and how that's going to play out. But we can see now the grid is starting to form, and I guess we should start going through the grid so you can see where your favourite driver starts. And I think there's a little bit of a mix-up, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so if we're having a look at the start of the grid now, we've got King Kyong Ao will take pole position for this reverse grid race, followed by Ilhan Halabi in second. Lachlan Crowe will start out of third tonight. Federico Duarte will start out of fourth. Chandra Yong will be starting from fifth. Martin Silvassi in sixth, followed by Andika Ramamalana in seventh. Ross Rizzo in eighth, followed by Mike Burdett and Anthony Winkleman out of 10th. 11th tonight will be Abida Putra. 12th will be Indro Ferrienta, followed by Yazrin Jali in 13th. Kevin Huang in 14th tonight, followed by Simon Jorge Sanchez in 15th. 16th will be Johnson Yong, 17th will be Tafiq Moylan, 18th tonight will be Alex Young, followed by Mark Simons in 19th and Nurajin Kumar in 20th.
Fantastic, and that's your grid for race 2 here tonight, folks, and it's going to be interesting, that's for sure, to see how this shapes up. We can see Anthony is out there. He's starting out in 10th, so he's got a bit of a job to do, hasn't he, in trying to get through this field and up to Ilham and Kin Kyong Ao to try to take a win out of race 2.
He definitely does, but I think Anthony's going to really be relying on Kin Kyong Ao to give Ilhan Halabi a bit of a hard start here, so maybe look to be a bit more aggressive and defensive and back him up as much as possible. But I think once Ilhan gets away from Kin Kyong in front, he's going to be pretty clear sailing, and that gap should extend quite rapidly.
Yeah, and if he does win this race, he's probably the favourite to take it, but if he does, he's really gotten out of jail, hasn't he? Because last race could have been a disaster. He got it back up to about 9th position to save points, and if he finishes this race in front, it's not going to be a bad points haul for him.
No, not at all. Well, they do split these 2 races as far as points are concerned. So the first race will have half the normal allocated points for their finishing positions. Those will then be added to the second race, and we'll get an overall clear winner from that one. But Anthony's going to have a pretty hard time. Right in front of him, he's got Mike Burdett in 9th and Ross Rizzo, and those two had a great little scrap in the last race, which we saw a bit of a lock up there from Ross Rizzo that did allow Mike to get through, but those two had a pretty hard fight.
Yeah, they certainly did, and no doubt that's going to continue on in this race. We can see there Mike Burdett up there. I think just they're all out of order on my positions here, but no doubt they will settle down once we get through the start-finish line.
Yeah, definitely, and I think another one we're going to have to keep another eye on will be Martin Silvasi. He had a great run in the first race there with Andika Ramamalana, and then towards the end there with Chandra Yong as well. So those 3 will be pretty good here off the start. Lachlan Crowe, I think, should have a pretty comfortable gap as well over Federico. He'll be starting on his outside there. Yeah,
so we'll definitely keep an eye on Lachlan there, and as we look from the blimp, you can see the field there, and the guys will start to get ready. They'll come down over the hill through the S's here onto the main straight. Safety car will be in, and then Kin Kyong Ao, he will have control of this field.
Yeah, definitely, and the guys are now starting to bunch up just a little bit. Hopefully we can get this field a little bit tighter as they get their way onto the front straight once that safety car goes in.
Yeah, well, Ilham needs to close up here. He's starting to now, and they can't overtake, I guess, till after they get through the start-finish line, so he's now going to not want to jump the start, but he's just sitting in there. Field's now closing in. Safety car will be in, waiting for Kin Kyong Ao to go, and is he going to go? He's going now. A bit of a sloppy start there. Ilham had to jump on the brakes. They're backed up, and let's hope they get through turn 1 cleanly.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact there with Ross Rizzo, and I can't make out who that white Ford was behind him. Those two were very wide, as Anthony's 3 wide through turn 1, and it looks like Martin Silvasi's actually got it away pretty poorly there and has fallen a long way back.
Yeah, Martin's down in 11th at the moment. Anthony's just in front of him here. If Martin can tuck on the back of Anthony, get him to take him through. But now Anthony, will big crash up front. We've got cars all over the track and a lot of damage here. Anthony Winkleman got through. Martin Silvasi got through, but there's a lot of damage back there. Another car into the wall.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know who we had involved in that one, because it looks like Lachlan Crowe was involved in it, Ross Rizzo was involved, Tafiq Moyen was in it, Simon Jorge Sanchez was in that one as well. So a lot of guys that should have been further up, especially with the likes of Ross Rizzo and Mike Burdett there, have seemed to have come off a lot worse and are a long way back now.
Yeah, we're just having a look, trying to work it out, but it happened right up the front, didn't it? And just trying to work out who started that incident. Jump back and have a look at that shortly, folks, but at the moment, let's have a look at your top 10. We have Chandra leading this race, followed by Mike Burdett in second. Ilham Halabi, he got backed up on the start, dropped to third position. Frederico sitting in fourth, followed by Anthony Winkleman. Well, he got gifted a lot of positions there on that big incident. And then we have Endika Rama Molana in sixth, seventh Abby, eighth Martin Silvassi, ninth Jazreen Jali, and rounding out your top 10 was Kevin Huang. So I'd say Kin Kyong Ao was involved in that incident.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking for him now. It looks to be showing in 14th spot at the moment, so he's definitely fared pretty bad in that one. Same with Lachlan Crowe, Ross Rizzo, and Tafiq Moyen. Those guys are a long way down now. But yeah, as you mentioned, the biggest mover out of that lot was Anthony Winkleman. He picked the right line, was able to get through all that mess in front of him, and did a great job there.
Yeah, we're having a look at that accident, and a nasty accident indeed. Kin Kyung Ao, he got into the back. I'm not sure if it wasn't Mike Burdett, it was the other one painted like that. Ross Rizzo also around as we see the damage here, and we'll get further back so we can actually, no, the wrong way, that way, and we can see the 15 also involved and getting back on the circuit. But Ross Rizzo, Kin Kyung Ao, they would be the big victims of that incident.
Yeah, well, that other car that you mentioned, similar to Mike Burdett's, that would be Lachlan Crowe in the 420. So, as we mentioned, he's a long way down now in 16th spot. But yeah, Anthony Winkleman here is right up on the back of Ilhan Halabi as these guys make their way up the back straight in towards the carousel now.
Yeah, so great race shaping up here. We've got Mike Burdett leading, Ilham Halabi, Anthony Winkleman now. He's wanting a second win. And one thing I'm surprised about is where Anthony is on the point score. I'm just trying to get it back up, but I didn't see him in the top 3 or 4 positions.
No, he is quite a way down after this series. He's had a lot of unfortunate errors. Not to his own fault. There's been some pretty interesting driving, to say the least, that's sort of taken him out of very good points-paying positions. Montreal's probably the most recent one that comes to mind. There was a car that reversed through the chicanes onto the wall of champions and ended his race in that one.
Yeah, so he's looking at wanting to improve, and he's having an awesome battle here with Ilham Halabi. I thought Ilham was through. Anthony says no, and away they go. Or was it the other way around? I don't know. Well,
it was the other way. It was a great move from Anthony around the outside there of turn 2. Really comfortable in this Ferrari at the moment, and he's starting to extend that gap. So Anthony's now got his sights on Mike Burdett, and potentially, if he can get past him, that gap is only going to grow, and we may see it back out to another 10 seconds at the end of this race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, won't it?
Looking a little further back here, we got Martin Silvassi, still sitting in 5th spot. He's closing in on the back of Endika Ramalana, just in front of him in the Ford. So that's a little battle that may potentially shape up a little further down this race.
Yeah, and there's also a car further back. Who was it? Kevin Huang around at Oak Tree. And we'll see if we can work out what's happened there. But we saw earlier another car turning around there as well. So I think they're getting into each other, coming into this tight part. And we'll see. Oh, yeah, he got turned around by his teammate. That was the 777, I think it was.
Yes, that was Nurjan Kumar. He came in very late through Oak Tree. Got a little better run than Kevin did, but yeah, caught the back end of that car and spun both of them around.
Yeah, so a little bit of driver briefing. Management might have to go on after this race, but at the moment Mike Burdett's looking fantastic out here. Anthony Winkleman closing in now in 2nd, Ilham Halabi sitting in 3rd, and these guys are starting to get a bit of a gap, aren't they, back to Endika Rama Molana. Martin Silvassi, he's also made up about 4 positions since that first lap incident, up into 5th position.
Yeah, Martin's doing great. He's holding pretty comfortably here with Endika just in front of him, but as you mentioned, the front 3, Mike Burdett, Anthony Winkleman and Ilhan Halabi, seem to be just the class of the field at the moment. They're extending the gap pretty comfortably over Endika just in 4th there, but doing a very good job. Anthony's definitely got the eyes on and looking to get past Mike Burdett here though.
Oh, definitely, and he's wanting to get that car as far up as the grid as he can. He's got 18 minutes to do it, plenty of time here at VIR. And of course, for the folks that missed the start of this race, there was a bit of an incident there with Kim Kyung-ao turning Lachlan Crowe around, and chaos did ensue. But I tell you what, not as bad as we've seen, where all the guys did check up, they took evasive action, and it didn't end up in one massive big pile-up.
Yeah, and I'm just watching here. Anthony's got a fantastic run on Mike Biddett. Managed to get past him just as they make their way here through the roller coaster section. And what do we know? We've got Anthony Wickerman back up in first spot here now.
Yeah, having a look at the replay here of that move, you could see him wondering which side to go. He went on the outside here, very confident under brakes, and makes that move quite easily.
Yeah, and a very good drive from him. Just looking a little further back, we had a couple of comments here from Sean. Ross, mate, is sitting in 13th at the moment. He's got Niraj and Kumar just behind him there. And who else is he battling around with?
Yeah, he's got Alex Pole just behind him with Niraj and Kumar.
Yeah, so he's not doing too bad. He's making his way back up. Kevin Huang, after his little issues, is still sitting in 9th. So Ross may be able to get back up on the rear of Kevin's car just in front of him, and that will be a nice little battle once that does start.
Yeah, and the good news is, Sean, Ross does not have any damage to his car by the looks of it, but he was caught up in that accident, and very lucky to get out of it with the least damage he's having. But of course, if you're wondering, folks, why Sean's asking these questions, well, Sean is the boss of Ross Rizzo, I guess you could say, and no doubt they'll be wondering what has happened to their driver.
Yeah, definitely, and I think I just saw a little earlier on Sean wasn't able to make the race tonight, so just checking in on the boys, seeing how they're doing. But Martin Silvasi, in 5th here, has really closed right up on the back of Andika Ramalana, and is, oh geez, that boys are fighting hard. Martin's trying to go around the outside into the roller coaster here, which is not going to end pretty.
No, and he backs out of that, doesn't he? He's got who's he fighting? Andika in front of him, I think.
Yeah, it's Andika Ramalana just in front of him, and that was very tight. Andika had a late move to sort of go across the track and unsettle Martin there, but Martin did a good job just to keep that nose out as the guys were turning into the right-hander.
Yeah, so Martin's sitting in 5th at the moment and starting to close back in again. And just having a look at some other battles further down. Niraj and Kumar, Alex Pole, these guys are having an awesome battle here for 11th and 12th. You can see now Niraj closing in. Alex cuts across the outside there, but what's he going to do? Niraj says, well, I'll take the inside, thank you very much. Now an undercut, contact. These guys aren't shy to rub paint, are they?
No, not at all. That's a pretty typical move that we can see in this spot. Alex did a good job. He held his line there. I let Niraj go up the inside. Probably outbraked himself a touch more, but Alex very able to get the car turn back in on itself and make that pass through. A little bit of contact, probably not going to upset him too much. I mean, a bit of rubbing and racing, we were saying we didn't get enough of that. So it's good to see these guys actually still getting out there and rubbing the door handles.
Yeah, and that's allowing Chandra to join the party here, and soon there'll be a party of 3, but Alex Pole, Niraj and Kumar here going at it, and Alex at the moment, he's got the upper hand, and as you said, great driving back there on the way he defended that position. Just getting 2 wheels off on the dirt didn't upset him too much. Into Oak Tree here, look at Chandra close up. Yeah,
Chandra is very strong under the brakes. Alex was... I'm kind of surprised that car held very nicely on the dirt, even though it's 2 wheels off. A lot of times it's very easy once that happens for it to spin out on you, but he's got the car working pretty well. But yeah, Chandra Young under the brakes was fantastic, wasn't he?
Oh, it certainly was, and we're riding on the roof cam. Oh, big contact. Just see how Chandra checked up there. Good driving there by Chandra, and we were on the roof cam when that happened. So let's jump back and have a look at that replay. I'm just having a look. It looks like Niranjan got in the back. He did under brakes and just clipped the back of him, didn't he?
Yeah, it looked like Nurjan was very late on the brakes compared to Alex in front of him. So I'm not sure whether he's just missed the marks there or not. Alex was taking the brakes in the normal spot up around the 2 boards. Nurjan doesn't seem to get them on until around the 1. So actually a lot later than that, about 50 metres into that corner. So very late on the brake there from Nurjan Kumar.
Yeah, and we saw him as he hit him. He turned to try to avoid him and just clipped the back of that car. Alex, of course, he's now limping around in 13th. It looks like Niranjan has retired after that incident.
Yeah, definitely. Alex will still have a fast repair that he can use to get back on track, but that's really put a dash to any decent results he was hoping for tonight.
Yeah, and while that was going on, folks, look who has the lead of this race. Anthony Winkleman now starting to stretch his legs, and he's got past Mike Burdett. Ilham Halabi sitting there in 3rd, hasn't been able to capitalise on this race, but Anthony's definitely been the mover and shaker here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a fantastic drive, up 9 spots so far, so biggest mover award at the moment would be sitting with Anthony. Last lap by, did a 1:45.48, so around half a second quicker than what we saw from Mike Burdett and Ilhan Halabi behind him.
Yeah, so an awesome drive. This will be, if he takes this out, he'll have taken both races out. And looking at the strength of his form over, the last 3 or 4 races, don't count Villeneuve because it was a disaster. This must be helping him getting up through this tree of points. But I just don't know. I don't have the points in front of me, Daniel. Do you think he has enough time to actually get up to the pointy end of this field, or do you think he's left to run a bit late?
I think the issues that he has had definitely has affected him probably more than he needed to. Even with a drop round, he's not gaining a lot of points on the guys in front. Obviously, 90 points for tonight's race will definitely help him out and move him back up the front. But he's had a few events through no fault of his own with some bad driving that have severely affected him and potentially brought that number down a lot further than it should have been. Yeah,
so just trying to see there. I'm a bit lost tonight. Yeah, so we're having a look at Martin Silvassi here, still battling it out with Ndika Ramamolana here. Martin's up 5th. He has moved up from, he did drop down to about 9th due to that incident, didn't he? But he's making his way through.
Yeah, he certainly is, but we haven't seen him up as close as he was a few laps ago where he tried that move up on Ndika, and he seems to be struggling a little bit maybe with the pace now.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the heat, because it's 42 degrees out there, so no doubt the cars would be feeling it, and if he hasn't adjusted his tyre temps, he could be struggling a little bit with that. And further back here, 12th, 13th, we can see Alex now starting to defend on Lachlan Crowe. Lachlan, of course, got turned around, going for the lead on lap 1, and he's been in recovery mode. Alex got tagged by Niranjan and has a lot of rear end damage and is also in recovery mode.
Yeah, I don't think Alex will offer up too much issue there. They are teammate cars, those ones, and just watching Alex, he actually had a pretty bad run through the final corner and spent a lot of time on the grass there.
Yeah, he certainly did, and we'll just have a look at that replay, see exactly what it was. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the rear end of that car mucking up with him a little bit as we see him come through. No, it just sort of steered off, didn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit, maybe not enough brakes a bit early on. Seemed a bit erratic with the pedal movement there, but like I say, VIR, there's tons of room for you to drive off and rejoin without too much issue compared to some of those other circuits we've been to.
Yeah, and that's dropped Alex down to 15th position. He's got Tafiq in front of him, then Johnson. There's a Johnson in front of him, so he's definitely struggling now, just wanting this race to be over with. But I tell you what, one person who would be enjoying this race immensely would be Anthony Winkleman, who once again is starting to get a very nice gap.
Yeah, and the lap times that these 3 front runners are doing are very consistent. Pretty much in a low 45.9 to a high of an early 46 flat. So great driving from these 3. not putting a wheel wrong at all. But even from looking down a little further, so Andika Ramalana now 8 seconds off the lead now. Martin Silvassi had a bit of a slow one that time by. He's actually dropped a second and a half off Andika, so I'm not sure whether he's maybe run wide a little bit or those tyres are definitely gone, but looks like Martin may be sitting tight now in 5th spot.
Yeah, he's just he's lost the front momentum, hasn't he, as you was just saying, and really he's just hanging on, I think, for to try to make sure he can get that car home in 5th position. Yeah,
definitely, and we haven't seen a lot of the ERT boys out here in this series this time by. I know last season in the GT3 they did have quite a few drivers that ran it and ran very successfully, so maybe a little hard for Martin at the moment, sole driver in that team actually out in this series.
Yeah, well he wouldn't have the support of all his teammates setting these cars up, but of course ERT, their focus will be on the GT3 World Championship, which they qualified for once again. We'll have to get Brenton up and get a bit of an update how the boys are going at some time. In fact, I might reach out and get an update of all the Aussie teams campaigning in that series and just see how they're going.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the two that we definitely got in there are ERT. I believe Mad Cow boys are still running in that, although they have been very quiet lately, so hopefully any issues those guys have got going on should be resolved and we'll see them back on track pretty soon as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of the Mad Cow boys this year, have we? So hopefully they'll get back on track and we'll see them out on track and having a bit of a run.
Yeah, definitely. Great bunch of guys, good to race against, and yeah, hopefully they are back very, very soon.
Yeah, and we can see now Johnson is starting to close up on the back of Lachlan Crowe here, and this is for 12th and 13th position, so we'll see if Johnson can actually make this move.
Yeah, we're just behind as well. We've got a couple of others. We've got Tafik Moyen and Alex Pole is still holding in there in 15th, so it could be a little 4-car battle pretty soon, but looks like Lachlan Crowe's still got enough pace to be able to drive away from Johnson Young behind him. Yeah, Johnson got it all wrong there on the exit and ran it off, and that's allowed... who's that? Is that... No, it's not Alex. Who's that all over the back of Johnson? No, sorry. He's Tafik got through. There we go. I'm on the same page now, Daniel. No, that's all right, mate. Yeah, so Tafik did a good job there. Got past Johnson Young just in front of him. So good little fight going on, and Alex is not wanting to let this go. He's holding in pretty firmly there in the 15th spot still. But if these two in front of him have a bit of an off, he's going to be able to capitalise pretty quickly and jump up into 13th. Yeah, definitely, and of course he's probably starting to get used to the way that car's handling after the rear end job that he got on it, so it probably takes a few laps, doesn't it, for the driver to adjust and just get a feel for what the car can and can't do once you've had that sort of an impact. Yeah, definitely. It does unsettle you because, like I say, you are worried about where your braking points are and how it is going to be stability-wise, but I think Alex has been all around long enough to sort of get a feel for these pretty quickly, and I think he's back on top of the game and doing what he can do with what he's got available to him. Oh, definitely, and he'll get absolutely everything he can out of the car, or what the car can absolutely give him in the condition it's in. But one guy we haven't seen much of tonight, Mark Simon here, sitting in 9th position. He's up 10 positions, and he's got Kevin Huang now starting to catch him down the front straight here. For the fans of Ross Rizzo, he's sitting in 8th position at the moment, 25.5 seconds off the lead. Yeah, and Mark Simon's actually been driving very consistently. He had a bit of a poor lap the last time round. He was a couple of seconds off the pace, which has really allowed Kevin Huang to close up. There was about a 2-second gap there, so this little battle is going to get pretty heated very, very quickly. And Kevin, you got to be pretty careful around Kevin. He can get a little bit hot-headed at times and maybe make a bit of a misjudged move, but at the same time, I mean, Mark Simon's got it all to play for here and hold off that 9th position. Yeah, definitely, and he got a good run out of there, but now Kevin's on the back of him as they come up through the S's. No pass here. Keep an eye on Kevin, though, as we come down Oak Tree under heavy brakes, and
see, well, he's closing right in now, isn't he? Let's hope there's no contact here under brakes.
Definitely, and we saw Kevin a little earlier on. He actually got tagged around by his teammate, and that was Nugent Kumar as well. So, doesn't look like that affected that car at all, and he's still making pretty good pace here on the back of Mark Simon.
Yeah, well, the impact was out of Oak Tree. It wasn't a very low-speed impact, but now look at Kevin getting the sniff of that draft. Ferrari versus Ford. The Ferrari stretching its legs. The Ford having a look, doesn't have it under brakes, and he's going to have to bide his time for the start-finish straight. 3 minutes to go here, folks.
Yeah, and great driving from Mark. If he's able to hold where he is, it will make it very hard for Kevin to manage that gap and get through him. But just going back a little bit further, we've still got Lachlan Crowe extending that lead over Tafi Moyen just behind. Johnson Young is actually got past. We missed a little bit of a off there from Tafiq, and Johnson's actually right back up on Alex Pole. So Alex has actually been able to capitalise here and jumps up into the 13th spot.
Yeah, good recovery drive there from Alex, and I wasn't sure if he'd actually have anything left in the car there, but obviously he's found something and made a few positions up. But meanwhile up here, Kevin is now putting a lot of pressure on the back of Mark Simon, and they're battling it out for 9th and 10th. 2 minutes 20 of this race to go. Can Mark hold on to this position?
Yeah, definitely. Mark's doing everything he needs to do just to place that car where he wants it to hold Kevin back. And in this section where they are now leading up into Oak Tree, there's not a lot of room here for Kevin to be able to make this move. But I think he's going to need to start looking at how he can get off Oak Tree corner better and use that draft to his advantage.
And here he goes. He's got an awesome run now, and he did exactly what you thought he was going to do there. How was he going to get a run? He basically held wide and then accelerated on the inside there, set him up, and I think this could be the move, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good job. He just held back enough to put Mark off, but that Ferrari of Mark's has still got plenty of pace, so maybe he's got the rear wing very low as he runs wide through the carousel there, and that's gifted Kevin up a spot into 9th now.
Yeah, and he just pretty much out-braked himself, didn't he? We just see Chandra now going off the same place Alex did earlier. But if we have a look at that replay, it was pretty much, he went very deep under brakes there, didn't he? And probably too deep. But the Ferrari definitely won the drag race.
Yeah, well, just watching just to get an idea of the braking performance in these cars, Kevin carried a lot of brake through the left-hander and into the right, and it looks like Mark had a couple of bites to slow that down as he made his way into the right and snatched a brake just at the critical point there, and did a very good job just to be able to unload that and keep it on the track.
Oh, he did a brilliant job, didn't he? Because a lot of drivers would have speared off at that point and got it into a spin, but he just kept it right. And you're right, I could see his brake lights flashing there as he took 2 bites to pull that car up. You can see now Anthony Winkleman, 2.5 seconds is the gap, 22 seconds to go. He'll go through this time by, and that should be the last lap.
Yeah, and we've actually just seen Anthony also just put a lap on Simon Sanchez just behind him, so maybe not too happy with how that was and how he got past, but he's definitely starting to make his way through the back markers, and obviously Mike and Ilhan are going to have to get through Simon as well. Yeah,
they'll have to, the way they're closing up, I think Mike is going to have to make the move. Ilham, not so much. He's got a bit of a gap, but I know if Mike doesn't get past... Oh, there we go. Simon's now pulling over, letting them through. So he's through. What about Ilham? Yep. Simon's definitely just stepped over there. Good driving and let these guys through. The gap 3.2 seconds. As you can see now, Anthony Winkleman, our race leader, taking the last lap board and coming home.
Yeah, it's been a great drive from Anthony. He got lucky with that bit of incident at the start, which he was able to make his way through without issue, but since then it's been commanding drive to make his way up past Mike and Ilhan and extend this lead out quite comfortably. Yeah, and it's another race, isn't it, that he's extended that lead comfortably. He won race 1, unless I'm imagining things, and it looks like he's going to repeat it here tonight. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the guys now are going to start looking through the data. Where do they need to go with the setups to give them a slight edge and put that car further up with Anthony here?
Yeah, definitely, because he's got the pace, hasn't he? Once he gets out in front, he just runs away from them, and none of them have the same pace he's putting out. So they're definitely going to have to go back and look at the books and try to work out what he's doing that they're not doing. But one thing he is doing tonight is winning race 2, and well done to Anthony Winkleman.
Yeah, fantastic drive from Anthony. Well done to Mike Burdett, who crosses the line in 2nd, and Ilhan Halabi home in 3rd.
But Indika Rama Molana, he will come home in 4th position, followed 3 seconds up the road, Martin Silvassi in 5th, and home in 6th is Jazreen Jali.
Looks like Abdi Putra is going to find his way home in 7th. Ross Rizzo had a pretty lowly drive at the end there, comes home in 8th spot for tonight. Barring any issues, Kevin Huang, who's making his way in through the final turn, will also take out our 9th spot.
Yeah, so he's just coming into the final corner now, and then we've got Mike Simon down there, 4 seconds behind. He did defend it really well, just overcooked it a bit, cost him that position, but he'll come home in 10th with Chandra straight behind him in 11th position. 12th should be, it will be Lachlan Crowe. 13th, Alex Pohl, and comes across now, and he got past Johnson Yong there, who comes home in 14th. 15th, Tafiq. Well, I'm not sure if Tafiq's going to finish. He's actually off the circuit at the moment. Yeah.
Don't know whether he's caught a break there, but that's a long way off. But no one around him, so should come home quite comfortably in 15th. Federico Dewadi will come home in 16th tonight, followed by King Kyong Ao.
Yeah, we're just having a look at Tafiq here, and he's pretty much doing what we've seen a few guys do, and that's, he's caught a break there and just speared straight ahead into the final corner.
Yeah, it's very easy to do in that spot, especially as you're coming off that curb. It doesn't take a lot to unsettle that corner, and you're moving through pretty quickly. So, look, he did well. He let go of the brake and was able to sort of roll it off in the dirt, which hasn't affected it given where he's was running. But something they're going to have to look at for getting the brake performance for the next race.
Oh, definitely, and it's a tricky part of that circuit when you come down there, isn't it? And the television cameras don't really do it justice, but you can see now Anthony Winkleman smoking them up, leaving some rubber. Good burnout there. Come on, turn it around. Don't hit the fence, Anthony. Good job.
Yeah, no, look, he'll be wrapped over that, especially with some of the issues, as we mentioned earlier, he's been having with that system of his. So, no, fantastic job.
Yeah, definitely, and folks, if you like your V8 supercar action and you missed last night's coverage, go and check out the 6060 as we watch Anthony now. What's he doing? He's going infield. He's decided he's going to celebrate on the inside of the circuit now. But yeah, check out the 6060. We had 50 V8 supercars attack Sonoma last night for 2 18-lap sprint races. And I tell you what, Daniel, at the end of it, Ross Rizzo and Dave Oliver, they decided they'd take to the drag strip, and we had a Ford Holden drag race.
And who was the victor of that one at the end?
Well, you'll just have to watch the replay and find out.
Yes, I will, definitely. I might actually check with some of the boys and see if they know. Sean, if you want to do us a favour and maybe give us a quick shout, let us know.
Oh, that's cheating.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, basically, Ford versus Holden, best out of 3 it was. We caught the first 2, and they both went to Brian Borg. I think it was Brian Borg. Won the other 2. The one we didn't cover was the one that Dave Oliver won.
Ah, fantastic.
But it was great to see. They both lined up, they both went, and it was quite a lot of fun. But then Brian decided he'd have more fun trying to Dukes of Hazzard his car to death, and he managed to do that. But at the moment, Anthony Winkleman out, he's celebrating big time, and so he should, because it's been quite a convincing drive by him tonight.
Yeah, look, he deserves to be able to go and smash those tyres to bits, and he's doing a good job of it here with the donuts, so the boys should be pretty happy with that. He'll be over the moon, and he'll be looking to get whatever issues he's got going on with that system of his sorted and ready for next week.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a big relief, wouldn't it, after what you're saying in race 1, that his PC held up and as he smokes them up. But let's have a look at who the biggest mover is tonight. And as we went through the positions earlier, well, Anthony Winkelman up 9 positions there to finish first, Mike Burdett second, third Ilham Halabi, fourth Andrika Ramamulana, fifth was Martin Silvassi, followed by Jazreen Jali in sixth. Abby comes home in seventh with Ross Rizzo in 8th position, pretty much finished where he started. Kevin Huang up 5 positions to 9th, Mark Simon up 9 positions as well to 10th, Chandra Wayuda Zhong down 6 positions, and Lachlan Crow down 9 positions in 12th.
Yeah, and coming home in 13th tonight was Alex Poll, who managed to gain five spots even with all those issues that he had tonight. Johnson Yong has come home in 14th and up 2 spots also. Tafik Moyen came home in 15th and up a couple of spots. Federico Duarte home in 16th, did drop 12 spots, so not the happiest of races for him, no doubt. And King Kyung Ao, who we saw having those big issues at the opening there, in 16th.
Yeah, so it looks like King Kyung Ao is the biggest shaker. Now it's equal as far as the biggest movers. That's Anthony Winkelman equal with Mark Simon there, both up 9 positions. So great driving by both of those guys.
Yeah, definitely, and take nothing away from Mark. We saw him having a great battle with Kevin Huang. That was excellent to watch. And then the likes of Anthony, started 10th, came home first with another win, kept his nose clean, and put it where he needed to go to start building those points up for the end of the year. Yeah,
definitely. It was definitely a good drive, that's for sure. I'm going to bring, looks like we've got Ross Rizzo first, so we'll bring him up and have a chat with him. And then we've got our race winner, Anthony Winkelman, who we'll bring up after Ross.
Sounds good.
Hi Ross, welcome to RRTV's Combox, mate. We saw you in the bit of the wars at the start of that race. It looked like you got caught up in that incident. Did it affect your car that much, or did you get out of it fairly easily?
I actually got away with it fairly okay. It was a little bit left-hand down, which wasn't too much of an issue, but it did have problems to pulling up at turn 1, and I was probably losing a bit of time lap time wise, but other than that, I think I actually got away with it really luckily. Just a shame that it was with I think it was Abby right behind me. He just had nowhere to go. It was a real shame that I was actually lucky that I rotated enough off the racing line not to be collected on the front. So a lot of fortune as well as much as bad luck on that one.
Yeah, and Lachlan was also lucky that he spun offline as well. In fact, when we had a look at it, that accident could have been a heck of a lot worse, because a lot of the guys actually checked up and took evasive action, and I think quite a few got out of it fairly lightly.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of heartbreak stories out of that one.
Yeah, definitely. One of them will be Kin Kyung Ao. He finished in 17th and he was battling for the lead on that first corner. But getting back to your race, it looked like your car was performing quite well. We're commenting also about how beautiful that Kiani car looks in the Captain America livery.
Well, it would have stood out a bit on the track on an American circuit as well. Yeah, but the car was very quick tonight. A PB qualifying and a PB race result for this season as well in race 1, and I was really excited with my chances of maybe sneaking onto the podium again for race 2, given the warmer conditions. And in the warm up, the car felt about as balanced as it did in the cold, so I was kind of excited. Just didn't get to see whether or not that happened. But the cream rose to the top in Anthony, Ilham, and who was the third one on the Mike? Mike did an amazing job tonight.
Yeah, they certainly did. I've got Daniel Lead up here, and I could keep on asking you questions, but I know if I do, he won't have anything to ask you, so I'll hand you over to him.
No, look, race 2, probably not obviously where you wanted, but going off the back of Bernie's question, mate, did you find the tyre wear was that different, obviously going from the cooler conditions we saw in race 1 to second race?
Not really. The car handled really consistently across both conditions and through the entirety of both races, so that shocked me a bit.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, but well, obviously we're going to go to off onto the next event. Sure, we're going to see you back making further inroads to this championship.
Actually, no, I won't be around for the final round, unfortunately. It's Imola, correct, which is one of my favourites. But that'll be a fantastic track for this series, and it'll be a great one to tune in for.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully you'll be able to put the boss in, and he'll be able to do that car proud for you.
Yeah, he had some internet dramas tonight, as did a lot of the team, as well as other commitments. So hopefully they'll be back for Imola. They all love that track. It's popular among the Australians, so we'll probably see a few unfamiliar faces, or rather familiar faces from the V8 community jump on in and see how they go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, before we let you get out of here, Ross, please do give us a shout out to the sponsors, mate.
Alright, thanks very much. Kayani, Race Centre, Acacia Marketplace, GTI, Edge Auto Concepts, and Aussie Gamers Express. Thanks very much for your continued support, and we're very proud to have you guys on board as sponsors and look forward to more success.
Fantastic, Ross, and well done on remembering all those sponsors, and we'll probably see you next round. I think you'll be back next round, won't you?
No, not for the next one, unfortunately, but should be good to go for the after the week 13 break.
Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Well, anyway, Ross, thanks for popping in, mate. You finished pretty much where you started in race 2, so it wasn't all too bad. And yeah, you can go and speak to Mr. Sean now, because he was asking us during the commentary where you were. He's a little bit worried about you.
Well, at least my internet wasn't playing up, and I literally could not be found. So it was. So yeah, but I'll catch up with the boss later.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, mate. We'll catch you when you come back from week 13 rest.
All right, thanks very much. Take care, guys.
So, folks, that was Ross Rizzo coming home in 8th position. Our final interview tonight, Daniel, is with Anthony Winkleman. He's going to be an extremely excitable young man, old man, whatever he is. But I might let you do the honours, because I think he's going to be fun to talk to.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get him up here and have a chat. G'day, Anthony. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Congratulations. Round win and winner of both race 1 and 2 tonight. We might need to get you get the mic on there, buddy. We're not able to catch up to anything at the moment.
You got me now?
There we go.
Here we go.
Well, yeah, definitely. Congratulations, race 1 winner, race 2 winner, and round winner.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a good bit of fun. A couple of moments I got some wicked computer issues going on, as you know, and yeah, right now I've had to even map my mic button on the mouse because my wheel's not working at all. So I was lucky to get through the race, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned earlier to myself that you're having some issues in race 1 with the gearing, but all in all, a few heart in the mouth moments. But you've found something in this car. Where do the guys need to look to maybe be able to take this race up to you moving forward?
Pretty much just seat time, mate. To be honest, it's a completely different car, and I think where a lot of people get caught out is driving it like a GT3 car, because it's definitely not a GT3 car. And just really utilising what the car's got, as opposed to, trying to make something that's not there. A lot of people try to complicate the car, but it's a fairly strong car. Even if you just take baseline out and straight out of the box, they're a pretty good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that would be great for the new viewers that are on tonight. But between race 1, obviously, we saw a lot cooler track temps to the second race. Did you find your setup required much tweaking to sort of get the most out of it for that race?
No, well, I was in the understanding it was the same weather, so I've jumped into the second race, and the first race was unreal. I had a heap of grip, and it was real good, and then just didn't touch the set at all. And didn't really pay much attention because I was in the understanding it was the same weather, and yeah, it was just a slide fest, but it was good fun. Made for some good racing.
Yeah, definitely. And what was your read with that bit of incident early on in the race? We saw you managed to get through it pretty cleanly. Did it look like it was maybe a bit unavoidable, or were some of the guys maybe driving a little too hard for the conditions?
I don't know. I think around there, even I sort of was trying to push my way to the front as fast as I could, but you know, going too wide through all those bends at the start, it's never going to end good. Especially, you know, when you got stuff like latency issues and shit like that. But it is, I don't know. All I saw was a lot of smoke and a lot of cars going either way, and it was like the seas parted, and I just had a clear run through. So I was pretty lucky in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, mate, fantastic driving. Showed the field a clean pair of heels and drove phenomenally well. Before I let you get out of here, Bernie, do you have a couple of questions for Anthony, mate?
No, just congratulations, mate. Awesome race, 1 and 2. Race 1 and 2, backing it up. Yeah, very good. One thing we were saying about the broadcast, though, is the guys are going to have to go back and look at their data, because you just seem to be able to pull away from them once you get out in front, and they don't seem to have anything for you at the moment.
I think it's this car is a very easy car to overdrive, I find. So I think if you're comfortable enough with the car and you can set yourself into a rhythm fairly early, there's no reason why, you know, no one can stay with me. Like Mike, he's really found something in the car as well. He's driving really good at the moment. So just to shake him was a bit of an effort, but it's I don't know. It's hard to say. I just sort of get into a rhythm and I'm just able to bang out laps, which is good fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I guess you'll be back next week, is that right?
Yeah, hope to be, man. If this PC doesn't end up in the rubbish bin by then, I'll definitely be back.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully you can fix that up. And it must have been very nerve-wracking for you for those last 2 races. We were saying during the broadcast it's the equivalent of, you know, waiting for a fuse or something to go in a car in a real-world race, and that's what you're wrestling with tonight. But well done anyway.
Yeah, thanks very much, man. Definitely made things interesting out there, that's for sure.
Definitely would have. But anyway, Anthony, thanks for joining us. Have you got any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
No, just Trick Sim Sports, mate, which is myself, and also a shout out to Hybrid Racing Simulations too. They've been great support with me, myself, and setting up the rig, and yeah, just great service and great products.
Fantastic. Well, anyway, Anthony, thanks for joining us. Can go and spray that champagne now and go and celebrate in style. We did like your burnouts too, mate. They were good.
Yeah, actually blew the car up by the end of it. But it was good fun.
Yeah, well, as they say, you didn't have to use the tyres again anyway, so...
That's right. Put them in the bin. I'll catch you guys at Imola, hey?
Yeah, mate. We're looking forward to it.
Awesome, boys. Thanks again, hey? Thanks very much for the broadcast.
Fantastic. That, folks, was Anthony Winkleman, winner of Race 1 and Race 2 here at Virginia International Raceway. So, Daniel, wrapping up, Anthony, he looked pretty dominant once again tonight. Yeah,
definitely. He's found something in that car that works phenomenally well for him. Now, like you mentioned, these guys are going to have to start looking at where they need to go setup-wise and maybe driving style to take the challenge up to Anthony. But at the moment, yeah, he's in a class of his own.
Yeah, certainly is. And as Anthony was saying, Mike Burdett up 7 positions from where he started in race 2. He's looking good. He had a very good race. Of course, though, Ilham Halabi, he had a bit of a shocker in race 1, didn't he? But race 2, he got it up to 3rd. So I think he saved quite a few points tonight, and he had a very good comeback drive in race 1.
Yeah, definitely. He'll be looking pretty comfortable for his points all for this round. Obviously, they're going to take the half the points that they get from race 1 and half the points for race 2 and combine them up. So it will be a little bit of a mismatch when the guys go through and look at the point score. But no, Ilhan's done very well. It's been a good damage control sort of race to make sure those points are still coming in.
Yeah, it definitely was, and that's what this series is all about, isn't it? If you have a problem like you do, you've got to be consistent and save as many points as you can. And that's what Ilham faced tonight, and that's what he did. And, job done as far as tonight's round goes for him. I'm sure he'd be wanting more points, but considering what happened in race 1, I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. And now, obviously, the guys are all going to start resetting. looking at what they need to do to get the cars operational and ready for Imola. As we mentioned, that's the next race that's coming up. Lucky for these guys, they get a week's worth of practice on the official side of things. So the racing for next week should be fantastic as well.
Yeah, it certainly will. And looking at the week ahead on RRTV, folks, well, as I said, check out the replay of last night's Sonoma race if you haven't already. 2 18-lap sprints around Sonoma, 50 V8 supercars. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'll let you find that out for yourselves. But of course, tomorrow night, folks, is the final broadcast of the Australasian Super Skips here on RRTV, and their second last race for their season. So that'll be kicking off tomorrow night. And if you like the open wheel racing, check it out, because basically it's about twice the length of an official race, and they throw in a pit stop as well, which is always fun to see. Then of course on Monday night we'll be back with Alex McKellar and calling the Monday Night Lights, and I'm assuming Daniel, I've lost count where we are in the official series, but we must be pretty much up to rest week after this week, are we?
Yeah, I believe we've still got a couple of rounds to go. I'd have to look and see what we've still got available, but no, look, it's been... The guys are going to be looking forward to a rest come week 13 when they get the chance, and up until now, like the racing has still been fantastic, and I'm sure the racing for the next few weeks up until that rest break is going to be just as good.
Oh, definitely, it always is, and the Monday Lights is getting pretty competitive now. Got a lot of internationals come down, and the Aussies test their mettle against them and take the fight to them. It's always great fun. And of course, next Friday night, Daniel, we've got another rest night for the V8, so you'll be able to have another Friday night off, mate.
Yeah, no, that'll be nice. I've kind of enjoyed those now.
Yeah, I don't get too used to them, okay?
Yeah, I'll have to try not to.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Daniel, it's almost our time to go tonight, but as far as drive of the night of race 2 goes tonight, who's your tip?
Look, I think you'd be hard-pressed to go past Anthony. Came back, started 10th with the reverse grid race, took out the win. Obviously, there were some issues with a few guys getting held up in some big issues, but still, he took the win, took the round. You can't look far past that, can you?
No, but another guy that I do want to give a big mention is Mark Simon. He was equal biggest mover in race 2. He was up 9 positions to come home in 10th. Didn't see a lot of him, but he was racing very well. And, of course, he pinched that break, which cost him 9th position. But a shout out to Mark. As far as overall, though, I've got to agree with you. It was Anthony tonight. Winner race 1, winner race 2. Yeah, you can't go past that sort of performance.
No, we're very dominant here at this circuit. Maybe not quite a bit more dominant than what we saw last week at Interlagos, but look, he's definitely on top of the car, definitely on top of the driving at the moment with this thing. Obviously, a few little computer glitches needs to be sorted out along the way, but no, very, very strong, and I think the next few rounds is going to give him a good chance to jump up and climb his way up that ladder.
Yeah, definitely. And in the next couple of rounds, we'll keep an eye on Mike Burdett as well. He looked really good tonight. But of course, Ilham Halabi, he's the big favourite to take out this series. And we'll see how he goes next week. As of course we said earlier, folks, tonight was about saving as many points as he could, which he's done. So we'll see how he bounces back out of that for next week.
Yeah, definitely. And Imola, as we know, we're going there. It's going to be a bit of a different flow to what we've seen tonight and for Interlagos, but I'm sure all the guys that are running will get the cars pretty up to scratch pretty quickly, and hopefully the times are a lot more consistent to the likes of Anthony and Mike and in Ilhan Halabi, and we might actually see some really good racing moving forward.
Yeah, I think we definitely will. But anyway, Daniel, it's that time of the night where we can say goodnight, go and put our feet up, watch a movie. You can put your feet up or go and hit the town and party like a young man or whatever. But I'm going to bed.
Oh, no, I'll be in bed, mate. I'm too old for that town stuff.
Fantastic. Well, anyway, folks, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's coverage of the Sim Racers Asia, GTE Asia Pacific Championship coming to you from Sonoma. We'll be back next week, and of course myself and Daniel Leet were your commentary team tonight, and it's great to have you back up in the box with us, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It was obviously good to stretch the legs last week and get back to doing the regular thing this week.
Yeah, definitely. And for anyone watching overseas, thanks for tuning in. And if you caught us through iRacing Live, check that out for our next scheduled race tomorrow night. For everyone that joined us on YouTube, wherever you are in the world, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's coverage. But on behalf of Daniel Leet, I'm Bernie Weemers. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you again, hopefully, tomorrow night here on RRTV.